the last few years. How did you see running as like a mechanism for you? What made you get into it?
So basically back in, would have been kind of early 2019, I was in a very difficult space mentally. My life was it felt like it was out of my control, really. After some quite traumatic family issues, I'd been left with some really kind of intense anxiety, which led to agoraphobia, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically a fear of being outside your comfort zone. So for me, my comfort zone was my house, and I couldn't leave the house without having a panic attack. That was kind of the extent it had gotten to. Even if I would just open the front door, walk out the house, I would just have an instant panic attack because I'm outside my comfort zone. So at that point, that was kind of my whole life. I was just trapped inside my house. And so at the start of 2019, I basically was trying to figure out ways of getting myself out the front door with a purpose, and running became that for me.
So let's just unpack that a little bit then and go back. So how for someone that doesn't understand that, how does that feel to be kind of restricted to your house, and you know, that sense of anxiety before you're going to go out, maybe, or you know, when you step out that front door? You mentioned those things, but what is it like to be in your head at that time?
It's really strange because, well, I first started experiencing sort of anxiety attacks back in 2016, which is kind of a whole separate story. But back in 2016, I was in my second year of uni, and I was experimenting with a lot of, I guess you could say, heavy drugs. And this one night, it was at a party, 4 a.m., and basically I had my first panic attack. And from that point, I just started experiencing like just kind of really manic anxiety. And I would have panic attacks at least a few times a week, just kind of triggered by nothing. Like my body just went completely out of control after basically taking it too far with the alcohol and the alcohol and the drugs. And so from that point, that was kind of a whole self-discovery journey of how do I figure out this anxiety. And long story short, I regained control of myself over about the next year. So, you know, through 2016, 2017, and then from that point, I was fine for a couple of years. I regained complete control over my mental health, and then it basically restarted all over again with this new situation. And so before all of that, I was never an anxious person. Like I'd never really felt like I'd ever experienced any kind of anxiety apart from, you know, maybe your everyday nerves about certain things. And so the experience from 2016 up until today has just been something that was completely new to me. So it felt really strange, and especially with kind of the second iteration of it with the agoraphobia, it was kind of way more difficult than the first time around, because it just felt like you had no control. It was just a constant state of fear. And like I say, it can be really hard to explain that to someone, and for someone to understand who hasn't been through it, because it's just like a mental block. It's just like the thought of going up to the front door just created like a full body fear response. Your mind would race, you start sweating, your heart palpitations, I'd go dizzy. And that would happen every single time. And I didn't really have a choice. It felt like